Gecko fans, how are you doing this evening, this wonderful evening? I almost used that line out of the series we just watched. It's a glorious evening at the, that's from Longmire. Anyways, thank you very much for joining us tonight. We have some outstanding outstanding gecko person tonight in Big G from Luna Geckos. This is going to be a fun show. We've covered leopard geckos. We've covered, oh my gosh, Lygodactylus williamsi, the electric blue. We've covered some really unique animals. Tonight we're going to talk about African fat tails. And I know I'm going to learn a lot because I have tons of notes, tons of questions to ask Big G. And I know that we're going to have a bunch of fun because he is an outstanding person and lots and lots and lots of fun. If you haven't been to Big G's Luna Geckos, hear the fan too, if you wouldn't mind turning off the fan. If you have questions, put them down in the chat. Make sure that you capitalize like question and then go ahead and ask. Then that's going to try to keep up with everybody's questions and let us know if you do have a question about African fat tails, if you have a question about any kind of geckos. Luna Geckos isn't just about African fat tails. They're about leopard geckos and many other. We were talking before the show about a couple of other really unique animals, and we're going to try to focus on African fat tails, but I don't know, Wally might just kind of veer off and start talking about some other stuff. So who do we have in the chat tonight, Nanette?
Oh, we've got DEA Exotics.
Andrew.
Stingers and Scales.
Hey.
Frank the Tank.
Frank.
And Moon Over Miami.
Yeah, fantastic. I know Move Over Miami is all over the place as well.
Josh is here too.
Hey, Josh. Thanks for joining us. Luna Geckos is here. Luna Geckos says, hi, Andrew. I'm glad Luna Geckos is here. That's going to make a better show, hopefully. Mm-hmm. How does this sound? Can everybody hear us okay? Does it sound okay? Give us a thumbs up. Tell us it's okay. Tell us if there's a little bit of a sound issue or audio issue about my voice. Sorry, guys. Can't do a doggone thing about it. Tarantula Channy is here. Channy. I say that wrong every time.
Doesn't surprise me.
Just like it doesn't surprise you. Just like a Mortal Kombat.
Oh, don't even go there.
Yes. So TC is here. Thank you everybody for joining. Like I said before, we're going to talk about African fat tails, but if you have questions about any kind of a gecko, let's try to minimize. Not you, Gus. You can't. Gus, you can't ask questions. If you have any questions about anything, let's try to keep it focused on geckos. I know, I've had some questions about tropical fish and isopods and stuff like that, but if we can focus on geckos, that would be so much better. Let's go ahead and bring on Big G. Now, the funny thing is that I started watching Luna Geckos videos, I don't even know how long ago, and just fell in love with their geckos. And it's not just all the information packed into his videos. He does a live session on Sundays. He does videos all through the week as well. But the thing is that he's a fun guy. And I tell you, if you watch some of his videos, you'll get the sense that there's a lot going on here as far as the geckos, but also from his life. I think Big G has a lot of life experiences, and I think this could go on for 4 or 5 hours. We're going to try to trim it down to about an hour 15, hour 30 minutes. Won't keep everybody, the whole night, but it's going to be hard. So without further ado, let's go ahead and bring on, I have to turn because I have the camera right in front of my screen here, so I beg your pardon, and let's bring on the man himself. Big G, how you doing tonight?
Hey, what's up, Wally? You know what? One of the downsides of having a drink in the gecko room is while I was waiting, I looked in my drink and there's like 4 gnats in it. So I think I'm just going to drink it anyway. What are you going to do? How are you?
So one of the biggest problems with keeping isopods is that you get a lot of gnats and they fly around it. So we've tried to minimize that by moving this whole studio, I guess you would call it, as far away from there as well. So otherwise we would have gnats in my, I don't even know what I'm drinking, brisk. And yeah, I'm right there with you, man. I'm down working on the isopods and it's like, oh my God, they're all over the place. How you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I appreciate the invite. It's always nice spending time with you and Nanette, who I actually haven't met, but I see her when I watch your videos. So I need you to start putting out videos every Thursday and Friday morning because those are my cleaning days. And I need something to do for about 8 hours a day, 2 days. So can you change your schedule a little bit?
Okay, where's my pen?
Yeah, right.
Note to self, change schedule of videos. You know, you say that, but I do exactly the same thing. I watch a lot of YouTube, and I'll put on a video and I'll just let it play and clean gecko poop and you know, feed the dubias and move animals around, check for babies. There's a couple of people, though, I've learned to not do that with because they share so much information that I've got to go back and, oh my God, what did they just say? And seriously, Big G, you're one of them. I can't watch you while I clean. So for me, you know, I watch you at like 2 in the morning.
Wow.
So at 2 in the morning, you're right there with me in bed. So I just wanted to tell you that.
Appreciate that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, you don't know what to say to that, do you?
No, I just want to apologize to Nanette. I didn't, you know. I mean, unless she's cool with it, then I mean, we'll just roll. I mean, it is what it is.
So sometimes when you're looking for babies and you open a cup up and you yell like really loud, you know, the volume's up a little bit too loud. She'll wake up and go, "What's going on?" Now you have to close it right away. Oh my God! Oh my God!
Yeah, I do that.
I do this. You, Nanette, can you scooch over? So
I do the same thing, but Handy Dandy makes me put headphones on. She won't let me listen to it with my phone volume, so she makes me put headphones on.
There's another note to self: use headphones and guidance. So tell me something. Who is in the background of your YouTube videos? You just named one person, Handy Dandy, but I know that there's a special smaller entity going on in your YouTube videos as well. Tell me a little bit about your helpers there.
Well, Handy Dandy, I'm fortunate because she's actually a mass comm. Her college degree is in mass communications, and
wow.
She wanted to be like a weather lady on, you know, broadcast news, and life happens and, you know, career happens, and she went a different route. But
wow.
But to be able to have, and she ended up going into marketing. So having that marketing expertise, digital marketing expertise, she's worked at the corporate level for, you know, regional casino companies, and she's run digital marketing for casino companies. And so she understands social media and, you know, all that stuff. Plus she understands the communications component, you know, from a broadcast standpoint. So she understands editing and filming. And so I always joke with her. She'll tell me to do something. I'm like, hey, I'm just the talent. That's not my contract. And she's like, you're going to do it right now, or you're not going to have a video this week. And I'm like, all right, I'll do it. So yeah, it's really fortunate that, you know, I think we always can go back and look at some of our earlier videos. And I've only been doing this for a few months, but we can go back and look at some of our earlier videos and be like, oh, what was I doing? But I think we did come out, you know, a little bit ahead because of her expertise, not mine. So, and then everybody thinks that we have audio problems because they always hear that snoring, and that snoring is Miss Poppy Dog. And I had a couple of people comment in one of the first few videos. They're like, "Is your stomach okay?" And I'm like, "It's my dog. She's right here." And she's a Boston Terrier, and she's obnoxiously loud. So,
outstanding. That's
kind of our mascot.
Funny.
Yeah, what are you gonna do? And
I'll do videos once in a while, and we have a corgi, and the corgi will run around, and his nails will hit the floor, and I hear that in the video, so I have to stop, wait for him to go to the carpet, and then I can start everything up. So. But it's good to kind of have that second person that can help you so much. I don't know. We did something called the 12 Supreme Days of Christmas.
Yeah, that's fantastic.
Thank you very much. And
I think I started watching your videos right as you were doing the 2020 12 days. I think I was still in Canada, and I started watching videos because we were talking about we should launch a YouTube. There's not a lot of gecko content out there. So I started watching who was out there and went to you immediately. And I think it was right about the time of 12 days. And I thought, man, what a great thing. And I would love to participate this year. So, we'll talk about it later, but you let me know what you need, and you got it. So
it's a blast. No, it's a blast, and we enjoy it. And I think it brings together the community, but it's also a way to give back to everybody. But where I was going was that, I don't think there's a lot of paperwork behind the scenes, a lot of communications and emails and stuff like that. I don't think I could have done the videos without Nanette, certainly, because I think that we bounce back and forth across, against each other a lot. So, and that makes it fun. Otherwise, people just have to sit here and listen to me, and nobody wants to do that. Oh my gosh, 4 hour long session. Shoot. So you've talked a little bit about your background, but what I really, really want to know is Big G, who are you?
It's not overly complicated. I grew up, I've lived there a lot of places. So I grew up in West Virginia, a small town in West Virginia. And I went to West Virginia University. I have an accounting degree. So I like to tell people I'm a 20+ year recovering accountant. It's kind of like Alcoholics Anonymous. You never get over it. You just one day at a time, right? I hate accounting, but an accounting degree was a really great foundational degree or skill set to be able to take you into the business world. And right after college, I lived in Washington, D.C. for a little bit. I actually worked for the Department of Defense Inspector General's office. I had a badge. It was cool. All my dad's friends are like in this Italian social club, and I'd show up in a suit with my badge, and they're like, "The feds are here." They didn't do anything illegal. They played pinochle on Fridays and ate spaghetti, but they thought they were like the Gambino family or something. They didn't do anything. And my dad would like look out the window. He's like, "That's my boy. Let him in." And from there, I got into the hospitality business. I bought a nightclub, a live music club on a college campus. Did that for a couple years. Then I opened a pizza shop. Then I opened a restaurant. And then I moved to Las Vegas, and I got into the casino business. And I spent about 20 years in the casino business. Well, not all 20 years as an executive, but ultimately, became a senior executive in the casino business and ran multiple properties, thousands. I think at one point I had 10,000 employees. So it's been fun. You learn a lot. And somewhere along the way, my daughter, she's 19 now, but she got into geckos, and I was just fascinated with it. And, I've always been into animals. I had my first reptile was a Burmese python, and I think I was a senior in high school, and I got a little baby Burmese python. I think it was like 1986, 1987. So now everybody knows how old I am. And took her to college with me. and it had her. I built like this custom enclosure and I made it look like a Foot Locker, but all the stuff was on the back, so you couldn't see it. And I ended up getting caught and had to get rid of the snake. It was either that or get kicked out of college. So at that point, she was probably maybe 6.5 feet long, and I had her out on the bed just hanging out one day, and I got caught. So she had to go away. Had to give her to the local exotic pet store. And prior to that, like, I was into fish, which is, your thing in the beginning days. I used to breed black mollies and guppies, and I loved them. So as a kid, my room was just fish tanks, like, everywhere. All my clothes and everything were stuffed under the bed because I didn't have any space for dressers. It was fish tanks. And then reptiles, then college, then life. And eventually my daughter got those geckos, and I was just fascinated. And we hatched a baby, and I was like, oh my God, I want to do a project. And she's like, I don't like that project. And I'm like, yeah, but I want to do that project. She's like, well, then get your own. And I was like, oh, I'll get my own. So I got a few of my own, and it went nuts from there. And I don't know, the attraction. I spent my career like creating ideas and strategies and then handing them to a team to implement. But I didn't physically build stuff. I mean, we might have overseen a construction of a restaurant or a remodel of a hotel or the complete build of a casino, but I didn't do it. I wasn't pounding nails, and you know what I mean? And being down here in the gecko room was just a release. It was me. I was all by myself. I created it, good or bad. I did it. And, I can't paint. I probably can't write a book. So, I can't play guitar. So musically and creatively, artistically, this is my outlet, and I love it. I mean, it's so peaceful. It's a lot of work, but it's peaceful.
It's fascinating that you go through this whole story, and I know, watching your introduction video on Luna Geckos, you get the sense that you grew up, more as a child in touch with nature and collecting, if I remember right, crayfish. Then you moved to Louisiana and you had to call them crawfish, or maybe I have that backwards.
No, you're right.
But
yeah.
Like a lot of people in this hobby, or it's just, it grows from getting in touch with nature, playing some ball and the records as a kid and doing this and that. But part of that growing up experience, and I know that it was, true for me with tadpoles and crawfish and things down at the creek, not the creek, or the creek, not the creek, but
creek.
Catching stuff and putting them in mason jars or coffee cans and just getting that experience. You talk about tropical fish, and that was my next step too. I started keeping tropical fish, and because of life and 3 kids, I had to move on, and a career, I had to move on from my tropical fish, and I started keeping orchids, and that just didn't do it for me. So after a while, I got into the geckos like you did, and it was just the fascination and research, and it was just that put me back in touch with, a little bit of nature, and kind of drove me to keep more and do better, and just like you now, educating people and trying to make this, a better hobby for everybody. So you talked about leopard geckos, and again, you're known for your leopard geckos. Tell us a couple of the projects in leopard geckos that you're working on.
Crayfish, right? So you're right. When I moved to Louisiana, they called them crawfish, and they ate them. And I'm like, wait a minute, you can't eat those. And I ate one. Yes. I'm like, oh, they're good.
Yes.
So it's one of my favorites.
That's some good right there.
When I go home, it's DeCarlo's pizza, And when I'm in Louisiana, it's crawfish and gumbo. So,
Oh yeah.
Yeah, leopard gecko wise. So I produce more leopard geckos than any other species that I work with. So if I was going to do them in like quantity, it would be leopard geckos and it would be fat tails, and then New Caledonians are the other ones. And what I work with on New Cals, I have a 1-3 group, so very small compared to what you're doing over there. I have a 1-3 group of cresteds. I have a 1-2 group of gargoyles. And then I have a 1-2 group of Urodactylodes velarde, a 1-2 group of agricoli, and then I just picked up a breeding group of Occidentalis Urodactylodes.
Nice.
That they're subadults, so they won't get paired until probably end of the summer. But quantity wise, believe it or not, it's not cresteds that's in the number 3 spot. And you know how prolific cresteds are. I have a lot of eggs going now.
Yes.
But these Urodactylodes velardes, they're pumping out babies like it's like an Amazon, distribution center. I'm like, where are these eggs? It's only a 1-2 group, and every time I look under the moss, there's Urodactylodes eggs. I'm like, Jesus, what am I gonna do with all these? So they've been fun. They're one of my favorites. But
they're one of mine too.
Yeah, I love them. But on the leopard gecko side, I probably get the most questions.
They're just real peaceful, slow moving.
Yeah, and they're out. They're not hiding all day. They're generally right up front, just holding onto a branch, looking at you. They're like, you can't see me, and I'm like, I'm looking right at you. I see you. But they're cool because they're out and about. But I do love them. Probably on the leopard gecko side, I got a variety of projects. Probably what people talk about the most are the black knights. And, we just did a video or a live on Sunday with Jay from Eco Gecko over in the UK.
Yes.
He's got the best black knights in the world. I get some notoriety or press or whatever for black knights because I was just fortunate enough to be one of the earliest breeders in the U.S. to import them. And I don't even take credit for it. My daughter showed me a picture of a black knight, and I said that's fake. And hold on one second. I thought Handy Dandy was going to make an appearance. I thought I heard someone knocking on the door, but I think she dropped something upstairs, and I have headphones on, so I'm like, is someone knocking on the door?
Yeah.
So I said, that's fake. Someone photoshopped that. And she's like, no, it's not. And I said, prove it. And so she does all the research, finds, Ferry Zerman, the creator in the Netherlands. But I said, well, reach out to him. She's like, I don't want to talk to him. And I said, well, I'll talk to him. So I reach out to him, and sure enough, black knights are real. And I ended up importing a 1-2 group originally. And it was funny. He doesn't speak English very well. And he said, you have to do an international wire transfer, and you have to pay me in euros. And so I get on the bank app and I do the thing, and I get a message that, some fraud message. So international transfers are blocked. I have to go to the bank and speak to somebody in person. So I'm like, oh man, this guy, I told him by like 2, he would have his money, and now he's going to think I'm a flake. And so I hustle over to the bank, and I'm sitting with the manager, and I said, I need to do this wire. Here's where it goes. Here's the ABA, right? Account number, name, everything. And she said, well, just for the form, because it's an international wire, I need to know what it's for. And I said, it's for geckos. And she like looked at me. She's like, you're what? Because it was a lot of money. And I said, it's a long story, but it's safe. Just press send. Let it go. So yeah, but Black Knights, I used to work with super giants. I love them. They just take up too much space. They get big too fast, and they were just wiping out my adult racks because in 3 months they were out of a baby rack into an adult rack, and I was just so it turned into a space utilization problem. And you really have to hold them for 8-9 months to sell them, I think, because if I sell a 15-gram animal and I tell you, oh, it's going to get big, you're like, come on. But if I hand it to you and it's 115 grams, you're like, oh, okay. So you got to hold on to them too long. They get big too fast. I love them, but don't work with them anymore. So in addition to the Black Knights, we're doing some out crossing of Black Knights this year. I got a Gem Snow project going. I've got a Mandarin Tangerine going into a Pure Blood Knight. Super Snow Eclipse Black Knights. I love that project. And then I have this, I had this weird Black Knight pop out last year that he was more gold than black. And he kind of looks like the Vegas Golden Knights hockey team mascot. So I'm trying to, he's like an F1, so he's weird looking, and I'm just trying to reproduce him and see if that'll go anywhere. Who knows? It might be a waste of time, but it's worth a shot. And then a bunch of Tremper stuff.
I heard that there's a new name for that one. I heard it's called the Flurry Leopard Gecko.
Marc-Andre, baby. Gotta love. So listen, I'm a Penguins fan. I grew up just 40 minutes out of Pittsburgh. So Penguins, Pirates, Steelers, and the Vegas.
I don't follow hockey.
So the Golden Knights come to Vegas, and everybody's like, "Oh, you're going to be a fan?" I'm like, "No, Penguins." And then they pick up Fleury. I'm like, "Okay, I'll go," but I'm wearing a Fleury jersey. Yeah. So I was going to get a Penguins jersey.
Compromise.
I was going to get a Penguins jersey and a Golden Knights jersey and cut them in half and Fleury like on both. I never did it. But they kind of screwed him over last year. So,
yeah, I'll break away from on a tangent here. You don't realize how good of a goalie he's been through his career until you start looking at the numbers, and it's just unbelievable. But the length of his career, but just the success that he's had in it, props to Fleury. So,
yeah.
So I do too. Not a huge Penguins fan because they beat my Blackhawks years and years ago, and I can't let that go. So, sorry.
Hey, as long as it's an American team. That's for my Canadian friends up there. When's the last time you guys won a Stanley Cup? Oh, I don't want to talk about it. This is
true.
They don't want to talk about that. I thought they invented hockey for crying out loud.
Yeah, I thought so too, but I don't know if they're going to have a team in the Stanley Cup this year. Now we have DEA Exotics. Andrew is here, and he's from Philadelphia, and he's a huge Flyers fan. He sent me actually a hat that I wear when I do an unboxing for a Gecko video, and that's just like my sign that I'm going to do an unboxing. I wear the Flyers hat, and I told that I love the Blackhawks. I have since I was 7 years old, and took a transistor to bed with me and listened to the games at about 10, 11 o'clock as a little kid. But Flyers are right there with them. I really like the Flyers. But Nanette's giving me the let's go while you're rambling again.
Can I say something about Andrew? Please. I watch Andrew. Well, I watch Andrew's videos because he frequently puts up, solo videos. But I watch Andrew and Gary on Fauna Radio, and those guys do a great job.
Yeah.
But more specifically, Andrew has the most soothing voice. Like he should like narrate books because his voice is peaceful, man. It relaxes me. Mm-hmm. I love his voice.
I love that Fauna show, but I tell you what, he has done this a little bit recently, but he used to do it a lot. He would have a live and he would have guests on And the special thing about Andrew is that every single guest that he gets on, every single guest is special, and he talks to every single one. It doesn't matter if they're talking geckos and somebody says, hey, I have an isopod question. He'll flow through in a very, like you said, very natural way, and he'll cover everybody's questions or comments. I don't know anybody that can stay with his audience, with his followers, like Gary does. He does just such, or Andrew does. He just does such a great job. Fantastic. I love watching their show too. Okay, I'm going to get back to my list because I'll ramble on all night, and maybe we'll come back to hockey a little bit later.
Yeah, I don't want to talk. I don't want to talk about baseball because the Pirates suck. So we can football or hockey if we get back to it. No baseball.
I don't know what's going on with the Pirates. That's a weird situation, and I'm a huge baseball fan. So we're going to talk about fantails in just a second, but let me ask you that. I have to go back to and you'll probably do the same thing and understand where I'm going. I've got to go back to me as a manager and asking interview questions. And this is one of my favorite combination kind of questions. And you know the second question as soon as I read off the first. So my first question is, what do you enjoy the most about breeding and keeping geckos? And what do you enjoy about the gecko community?
Good question. About breeding and keeping, if I said my favorite part is clean and poop, you would know that it's not true. So I'd love to find someone that says my favorite part is using my thumb and scraping that poop off of nobody loves that.
Nobody.
My favorite part is it's kind of a two-part. Nanette doesn't even like, you don't like scraping poop off. That's why you got to let your thumbnail be a little longer, Nanette, so you can scrape the poop off of the bins. My
fingernails are clean, so I think we're okay.
It's waiting to see what's going to come out of that egg. I have 20 plus years in the gambling business. So, genetics and gecko creation, it's all probability and math, and it's gambling to me. So the second that egg goes in the incubator is like when you pull the slot machine handle. Yes. Fortunately, if you're in the casino business, it only takes a few seconds to figure out what's going to happen. Unfortunately, in the gecko business, if you're talking about gargoyles, it's like 120 days. You're like, I got one cherry. I got two cherries. So you imagine playing a slot machine takes 120 days before you figure out what's going to happen. So that part is amazing. And then it doesn't end when they hatch because those babies change so much, right?
Yes.
And you're cleaning and feeding. And so I'm in there every other day, spraying and checking their food, and I'm deep cleaning the babies once a week. But a lot of times during the week, you never see them because the second you go for that bin, they're gone. They're back in that hide, right? And I've got 100 more to do, so I'm not going to peek in the hide and how you doing, little buddy? I'll see you on Thursday. And so once a week, I physically get hands on them. And it doesn't even look like the same gecko from last Thursday. So that's just crazy, right? That metamorphosis that occurs is amazing. So that's my favorite part. And really, I guess, regardless of species. So leopard geckos seem to change more than anything else I work with. Well, fat tails are close, but leopard geckos, they win from a change standpoint. Love that part.
So I'm going to follow that up with, and you probably guessed already what this question is going to be. So you talked about your favorite part of keeping animals, keeping geckos. You talked about your favorite part of the whole process. And I've got to say that I don't mind cleaning gecko poop because it gives me a chance to spend extra time in each and every single bin, but I'm weird that way anyway. So we'll move on from there. So I asked you what your favorite part is. What's your least favorite part of keeping geckos? Or I'll throw it out there if you want to talk about the gecko community as well. Either one or both of them. I don't, whatever.
Well, my least favorite part of keeping the animals is when you lose one. and it's heartbreaking. And if it was something you did or you did, then it doesn't make you feel better, but at least you can learn from it and say, okay, I'm not going to do that again.
Yes.
But usually it's you have no idea what happened, and it's just heartbreaking. So I hate that. They're like your kids, and the worst part is when you put them in a container and put them in a shipping box and then you take them to FedEx. I'm up all night. I'm like, is it in Memphis yet? Oh God, please don't go to Indianapolis. Please don't go to Indiana. And it's just, I hate shipping, but it's part of it. Fortunately, we've done great with shipping, but it's nerve-wracking every time. So, I have people message me. They're like, hey, I'm about to ship my first gecko and I'm so nervous. And I'm like, I've shipped 1,000 and I stay up all night. So, you'll probably never get over it. My biggest problem with the community. I think
there with you on that.
Shipping is just nerve-wracking.
Go ahead.
No, the community, I think the community is great. And so, you go to a show, and I know you do a lot of shows, and just that camaraderie and that sense of family and community that is experienced and exhibited at a show is, I can't tell you, like, someone can come up to my table and say, hey, do you have any female Tangerina meals? And I'm like, no, but he does. And I'll walk them over, and they'll do the same thing. And I just think that in-person community, if we can translate the way we treat each other in person to the way we treat each other online, just because you're sitting behind a computer on a keyboard doesn't mean you get to be a jerk. So, be a nice person. I mean, what'd your mom do to you? I mean, be nice.
I don't.
You can disagree. We can disagree. We can have differing opinions, but you could be nice.
I'm sorry. I don't know if he coined the phrase. Yes. I don't know if we have Gary Orner online, and I don't know if he coined this phrase or he stole it from somebody, and I'm going to steal it from Gary. But he uses the phrase keyboard warriors, and everybody's a keyboard warrior. But I'll tell you this real quick story. We did, Gary and I and a bunch of us in the Midwest did a reptile show this weekend, and we do exactly that. I can't tell you how many times we'll walk up and say, hey, the guy selling leopard geckos over there just said that you had some weird gecko stuff. So back and forth. I sent everybody over to Gary because I kind of leaped out of the leopard geckos for a little bit here. But there's one point in the show that I turned to point. Do you have any leopard? I'm looking for a blizzard. I'm looking for a caretail. And as I pointed, I could see Gary across, we're kind of in the same aisle. Gary turning and pointing toward me at the same. That's what's great about this community. And I wish we could get that through, Facebook and some of the other groups. But this is a great community. I 100% agree with you.
Yeah, I agree. And, I take it, from a business world perspective, if you send me a nasty email, I'm walking to your office or I'm picking up the phone and calling you, and you're going to change. You're going to be like, oh, I didn't mean to send that. It was, so it's like they have this anonymity and they think, oh, they can just say whatever they want. You don't have to agree with me. When I was 12 years old, I came to the realization that not everybody in the world's going to like me. And I accept that and I'm okay with it. But there's a level of decorum that, should be exercised. That's all I'm saying. If you want the community, if you want to be an active part of the community, you don't have to agree. We don't all have to agree. That's what makes it great. That's what makes the world great, is we're not required to wear the same uniform and, subscribe to the same religion and agree with all the same things. We can disagree, but we can do it cordially and respectfully. Yes. And that's all I ask.
I completely agree with you. And the good things about this reptile community you're going to find in the fish keeping community.
I think Wally froze. Am I moving? Wally froze. I'll dance.
We'll see if we can get everybody back on the screen here. Sorry about that, folks.
You froze, Wally.
We everybody back. I think I'm hiding the wrong person here.
Hey, I'm Wally. So I'm Wally now, and I am now a Penguins fan. Oh, I'm not Wally anymore.
Did you just change your name?
Well, when I was Wally for a minute, I was declaring that I'm now a Penguins fan and a Steelers fan, and you hurried up and swapped me back. So,
Wow.
so you gotta change your hat. You gotta get a Pens hat now.
We might just all of a sudden just lose the whole live stream here. I don't know what's happening. Oh no, it's gone.
I actually have it.
I'm back. I'm back.
I have it up on my phone too, so I could kind of see that we're good. Looks like we're all right.
Well, is officially
Nanette's watching YouTube as well and commenting, so I think we're.
Yeah, I had this grand plan that I was going to be.
I think we just lost for a second. So that gives us a great segue into. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying I had this grand plan that I was going to be able to watch comments, but I can't. So I'm just focusing. I'm focusing up here. We're going to let Nanette deal with the comments. I can't because I'll keep looking down. So I'm just the only thing I'm using it for is just to make sure the stream's still up. So I'm not looking at the comments.
Great call. And we're going to start taking questions in just a second. What African Okay. Sorry. Big G, are you still there?
I am still here. You froze for a minute.
Okay. Okay. I see you froze, but I do hear you. I'm not sure what's going on here, but maybe there's a kid who jumped on the street here and shutting everything on.
Yeah, it's a gamer. It's got to be a gamer. They're killing the network.
Still there, Big G?
I am, yeah. You're all locked up though.
Okay, good. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes.
Well, I still froze, man.
Okay. let's go ahead with that question, if you wouldn't mind. What got you into African fat tails?
I obviously got it, started with leopard geckos, and I don't remember exactly where I first started seeing fat tails. I can't remember if it was Instagram. I don't think I saw one in person at a show. It was either Instagram or maybe it was on Geckos, etc., on Steve's website. And I thought, man, those are cool. Because a lot of times you'd go on Steve's website and he'd have like the featured release or whatever. And I think it was a fat tail. I'm pretty sure that's where it was. And I thought, man, those are cool. So then I just started doing some research and looking into them and found out that their care was very similar, almost identical to leopard geckos, with some nuance. I mean, there's some nuance, but I thought, man, I'd like to start with a couple of these just to see. So I think I only did a 1-2 or maybe might have been a 2-3 group. It was very small that first season. I think I only produced 10 babies that first season. But it was that's how it started. Hey, can you guys still hear me on the live? I think I'm the only guy on the live now. I'm Wally Kern. Hey, there you are.
I don't know what's going on here. I apologize, everyone. I apologize, Big G. We're going to try this a little bit later, and if we do keep freezing up, we might have to just reschedule at a different time. I know that I heard some of what you were saying about differences, and you had, if I remember right, 10 babies your first year, which is a fantastic, start to African fat tails, I think, because a lot of people with that. Okay.
Yeah, I think I don't know, Nanette, can people hear me? Frank said it's fine. The nuance, one of the nuances of fat tails that I think is.
Yeah.
Okay. And if you can still hear me, Big G,
I hear.
What pushed you forward to keeping more and different morphs of the African fat tails?
They were really cool, and I think they're underrepresented in the hobby. There are certainly a lot of people that keep them, but not at the level of leopard geckos. And the genetic development, the identification of genes and morph creation is still relatively limited. It kind of feels like
frozen again, folks.
He's talking.
Can you hear me, Wally?
I can just now hear you. You were frozen for about 30 seconds or so. That's so she can hear everything.
Mm-hmm.
So if we just have too much going on, and then I think what we're going to do, just to make the call, is that maybe we try to reschedule. I greatly apologize for this. We'll try to get you on at another date, and we'll kind of go through. I think we have a good basis here, but we'll add on by discussing some other, some African methods.
Yeah, we'll do part 2.
And and stream